Okay, so we just saw the Republican response to the State of the Union delivered by someone who is being controlled from a remote location, apparently. Was it an effective speech?
Nope.
Was it a speech?
It never is.
I'm not sure that it was.
It never is. I mean, you said it during it. I don't understand why some production value was not put into this. Why there's some effort to draw. It doesn't even have to be Republican members. Get 50 staffers. Get people there in a room with some stadium seating. It doesn't have to be delivered on the Capitol. It could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Get them there, set it up. You guys know how to deliver a speech. I mean, you know how to set up a circumstance. We've all seen Republican conventions and Democratic conventions. Create a scenario where people respond to what you're saying, where you're on television, but you're talking to a crowd as opposed to talking to a television camera, giving a speech. Yeah. It's awkward. She hasn't done much of this. She had a smile on when she was talking about the girls of Boko Haram. You know, I mean, the girls abducted. Yeah. Everything had the same. Jimmy's got it. There it is. Right. And you can't hold that in a comfortable way for 14 minutes. Yeah. Her speech was no worse.
Start now.
Her speech was no worse than Tim Kaine's, or who was the horrible, or worse than Tim Kaine.
Bobby Jindal was incredibly.
No, but I'm talking about bad Democrats. From Washington. From Washington, the governor of Washington. He was horrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, I mean, they are known for being awkward, and I think you're right. It could be a structural thing. I don't know if it's tradition. I feel like they could break that tradition. I didn't expect much, but she spent a third of the time, it felt like, talking about Keystone XL. Saying that they need to pass that was the only specific policy that I remember hearing about any issue. From foreign policy to the economy.
I'm wondering to what extent my perceptions of it were warped by that weird feed we were getting. I wonder if she looked any more normal.
She did.
She looked a little more normal.
She looked way. Actually, Ben got it up on somehow. She got the TV feed. She looked way more normal. Her skin looked normal. Her hair looked normal.
So she didn't look like a synthetic.
She looked way less synthetic. She looked more like a human being from the front, from the other camera.
So it was just the smile that was like, I believe the word is rictus. It was a rictus. It was like an involuntary constriction of the face that could not be relieved, despite whatever emotion might be going through her at any.
Where did you ever hear that word before, rictus?
I don't know. I guess
Penthouse Letters.
Is my vocabulary that obvious?
That was a 19-year-old sophomore.
He panted.
At University. I couldn't believe this happened. Yeah.
I guess I feel a little bit good that it was so empty of actual policy prescriptions, because if they were planning to go into the next year actually wielding the new political power that they have, I think that they would have said something about what they're going to do, assuming that any of it is digestible by a normal human being. I mean, they could do all sorts of things to help out corporations, Wall Street, stuff like that, and they wouldn't feel the need to broadcast it ahead of time. But it could be that either that's their strategy, there's only a few things they plan to pass, and it's Keystone XL and then the trade deal and stuff like that. Or it could be that they plan to just wait out the last 2 years, blocking everything the way they have for the 2 years that have preceded it.
I'm going to go out on a wild limb here.
It's the speech that you would give if that's what you were going to do, I think.
I'm going to go out on a wild limb here and theorize that the entire process by which this happens is one, first of all, of fierce backroom negotiation and possibly fistfights about who gets to deliver
It's considered quite an honor.
Yeah. It's considered certainly quite a national opportunity that once they get done leaving each other bloody, regardless of party, and it's decided who's going to actually give the speech, everybody's just whatever. They don't really care. Just stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
And so the speech is written by committee, and everybody's got to vet it to make sure that they don't say anything controversial. And by the time you're done, you have a bad speech delivered badly because nobody wants to upset anybody. And that's all they care about, is not stepping on any landmines when you respond to the State of the Union.
Clearly. It doesn't do, but it can do some harm. It almost never does.
Right, that's why they're so bland, because they're trying to stay away from getting in trouble.
But why not give some group a reason to look forward to what you and your party intend to accomplish? Like Obama, okay, he didn't rise to the level that would have impressed many of us here, perhaps, at least 3 out of 4, I would assume. But students have a reason to sort of be a little bit hopeful. Families could be a little bit hopeful in terms of the child care and stuff like that. Like, you've given them something to look forward to. But, I mean, what is someone living in Texas supposed to be like, yay, pipeline?
Well,
is that what they're supposed to be excited for?
That's it. That's a great point. I mean, families can sit at home and say, yeah, we could really use help with the child care. Who's going to be saying, yeah, I really want to fast track a new trade treaty? That's going to, it's like, aren't we being a little abstract? And yet these Republicans just won a huge election. So that shows you the Democrats didn't bring their A game either.
No, we know that. Yeah.